Hey friends, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to another video. Now Scrapbookcom has been absolutely crushing it lately with their new tools and surfaces, and today a new one arrived. This is the Scrapbookcom Silicone Mat, and I'm excited to test it out today and see everything that it does. Alright, so let's start by opening the mat. It comes in this little plastic tube, and we can pull it out. Then we just need to remove the plastic from both sides. Alright, and then we've got this kind of sticky silicone mat that's going to be a great work surface to hold things down and keep things in place while you're working. Now let's put it through some tests. First, I've got a piece of my stark white cardstock, and that stays really nicely in place there. And then we're going to go in with some of our ink pads. And I know a lot of people use this type of surface for their ink pads so that you no longer need to hold on to it as it's sliding around there. It really works nicely to grip onto it, hold it down, and then be able to go in and ink blend. When it comes to ink blending, the mat isn't going to hold onto the cardstock by itself, so you do need to at least apply one finger down, and then it's going to hold on really nicely. With a little pressure, it's going to blend beautifully. Next, I'll bring in a little guppy, and again, this is great for the ink pads. I do love it to hold those down, and because it's kind of a plasticky type surface, it sticks really nicely to the silicone. I want to complete the background using a little bit of prom queen. So going in here and blending one more stripe of color. All right, and look at that beautiful blend that we just created there. I love how those blend together. And then let's go in using a little bit of water because I want to make sure this cleans off really nicely. I assume it does, but I'm gonna go in here with my rag, a little bit of water, and wipe off this surface, and it cleans up just beautifully. Now I wanna try stenciling, so I'm gonna bring in my tiny circle stencil. I love this one for creating some backgrounds, and I'm going to go back in with the exact same inks and do kind of a tone on tone effect. And so with stencils, I just kind of want to test out. I don't think it's going to just hold the stencil down by itself. So let's see, if I hold it at the edges here, it definitely makes it easier to hold down. I find that with things like this, you need to add a little bit of pressure, and with that little bit of pressure, it's gonna stick really nicely to that silicone. I am keeping my hand there and then moving into the next color. Going to go in with a little bit of guppy. And last but not least, some shooting star. And because these are translucent dye-based inks, when I go in and apply this color down, it's going to darken the color on top. I do have to say, when I've got a hand on my stencil here, it really does make it nice that I don't have to have a hand on my ink pad in order to grab the ink down. All right, then I'll lift off my stencil and look at that beautiful tone-on-tone effect we were able to get with the stencil. Just using kind of a finger's grip, it's gonna hold down the stencil a lot easier than just on a regular surface. I think this next technique is gonna really bring the silicone mat to life. So Scrapbookcom has these clearly amazing sticky mats, which are awesome. And this one is 4 1/4 inches by 5.5, so it's the perfect size for an A2 size card to stick down. But I don't want there to be any overhang, so I'm going to bring my little mini trimmer in here and then just trim it down really slightly, just so that there's no excess. All right, and there's a little coating on the back of this mat. I'm going to remove that as well so that you've got the really nice shiny mat. All right, then I'm going to remove the acetate so the sticky side is showing, and I'm going to stick this down onto the back of my stark white cardstock. And because we cut it down, there's no overhang, and then when we stick this down to the silicone mat, it's going to almost suction down. It's not going to move whatsoever. You almost have to peel it off the surface because of the cling with the silicone. And onto this panel, I'm going to take a little bit of Lunar paste. I'm starting off with a little bit of Psych, and I'm also using my paste tools to go in here and add the paste down to the surface. All right, then we'll add a little bit of Minty Fresh, and we'll finish it off with the gorgeous new Midnight Snack color. It's just beautiful. Then I'll use the scraper from my tool set too, and the awesome part about this is where are you gonna put your hand usually? So I love that it's stuck down completely so that I can then go in with my scraper and spread out the paste. And when you're using this scraper, I kind of scrape it down to the side and then continuously go over it until it's reached the other side of the panel. And if you go up and down a little bit too, it blends the color together just beautifully. All right, and check out how smooth and beautiful we got that color down there. And now we're gonna set this off to the side to let it dry. And also this mat is low tack, so it's pretty easy to peel off and keep using on other panels. And check this out, once you heat set this or let it dry, that Lunar paste is way shinier and becomes so stunning. So you could die cut out of this or use it as a background in your card. Let's test out how it cleans up to Lunar paste. I'm gonna spray some water down onto the surface, and then all I need to do is go in with a paper towel. And yeah, it cleans up beautifully. I wasn't expecting anything less because it's silicone, and silicone tends to clean up all of these mediums really nicely off of the surface. Now I'll add this mat down onto another piece of my stark white cardstock. And I want to test out ink blending with the plastic mat on the back now. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of Psych to start out with, and like now, it is a completely hands-free experience. So if you do kind of struggle with things just moving across your work surface and trying to hold everything down at once, this is great. Next, we'll bring in a little bit of beautiful Tropical Tango. I love this gorgeous teal color, and overlap it to get a new blend in between. There are lots of products that kind of hold things down and will help assist you during your project, but I've truly never used anything that's this hands-free before with that Clearly Amazing mat underneath and this silicone mat together. It works really well. All right, now let's react this with some water. I'm gonna bring in the Greenery stencil, lay this right down over top, and then we'll go in using the distress sprayer and a little bit of water and mist some water over top of the surface. And my re-inks react with water and they'll kind of bleach out some of the color there. Lift that off and check that out. It's already reacting really well. Unstick that mat and lift it off of the surface. Check this out, I pulled off the cardstock and the mat was stuck down to the surface because it's so sticky with that cling. All right, and when you're done with the Clearly Amazing mat, you just want to place over your acetate so that it holds its stick and doesn't get super dusty. And now I'm going to go in and heat set this so that the water kind of stops moving around and stops reacting because I like where it is right now. But this mat is also heat resistant, so you don't need to worry about it warping or anything like that. You can use lots of heat on this to do embossing or heat set your projects like I am. And check that out, I love the smooth blend and the reaction that we got with the Greenery stencil and a little bit of water is just so stunning. All right, now I'm going to go in with some ink pads from my Simon Hurley Create line, and I just want to see how the ink kind of adds down to the surface and will lift up with some water. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of No Diving. Again, just using some blues and greens to create this background. Clear skies here. And we'll add in a little bit of Psych as well to kind of brighten things up. All right, now I'll spray this down with water. And this is what I love to see. It's got these kind of little droplets on the surface like this, and that means you're gonna get kind of that really awesome droplet texture on your card as well. So when we're creating layers in here, it creates a little bit more texture and we'll create some beautiful backgrounds. So I'm gonna dry this first layer. All right, and then for the second layer, I'm just going to lightly tap this in here and you can see all of those tiny little drops there. Not every surface will give you all that little texture. Some will kind of blend the ink together like a glass mat will blend, but this one, you get tons of texture from. All right, so check out how fun that background is, but now it's a little bit warped here. And I wanna go in and test this out one more time. I'm gonna grab my Clearly Amazing mat, peel it off so I've got the sticky side, and then stick it right down to the back of my mat. All right, and then we can stick this down to the surface one more time, and I wanna see how it's gonna work since it's warped. Here I'm gonna bring in a little bit of Tropical Tango, and if you've seen my channel before, you know that I love to go in on the edges of backgrounds and kind of darken them up a little bit to add a little bit of depth and dimension to it. And it leaves the center a little bit brighter, which then will kind of draw your eye to the center where you can put the focal point or the sentiment. And yeah, even with it warping a little bit, it's lifting on some of the edges, but overall, because that sticky mat is on the back, it's still staying down on the surface really nicely and being able to blend this out without having to hold the cardstock down. One of the awesome part about silicone mats like this is it's pretty indestructible and durable, which is awesome. So that if you're traveling with it, you can roll it up and pack it in your suitcase and it's nice and compact and you don't have to worry about ruining it. All right, you guys, I love this mat. I think it's great for specific techniques. And so if you saw some techniques in today's video that you thought would work for you, it might be great for your craft room. I'll have links down below to the mat and all the supplies I used. Those links help support me, so I really appreciate you using them. And then leave me a comment down below on what you guys think of this. I would love to chat with you down there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!